So hello and welcome back yet again to another Exploring Azeroth with Beryl and Onyx, and this week we are going through the Vale of the Eternal Blossoms as we continue our exploration through the mists of Pandaria. We're actually really close to being done. We are so close to being completely done with Pandaria, which means we should be moving on very soon to the Warlords of Draenor expansion, which is kind of cool, also just kind of insane. The Vale of Eternal Blossoms is kind of the final zone of Pandaria. At the head of the area is the Mogushan Palace, and it was formerly known as the Cradle of Life, and it was used as an experimental area by the Titans, kind of like Sholazar Basin and Ungoro Crater was. So it was also the seat of power for the rulers of Pandaria, like the Mogu rulers and also Li Shen. After the Alliance and the Horde came to Pandaria, they brought war with them. And the August Celestials had the Vale of Eternal Blossoms kind of walled up. Again, I keep saying it, I love Pandaria. I love the entire aesthetic of it. And I'm kind of looking forward to this whole Pandaren speedrun thing that is coming up soon. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, especially for someone who didn't finish out Pandaria. So I'm really excited about it. But we're going to zip through and we are going to kind of check out all of these cool little areas. Where we are starting this video is at the Golden Stair. It is a grand stairway into the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. It leads from the Gate of the August Celestials, and it is just south of Kunlai Summit. The stairs lead down into the Emperor's Approach, which continues on to the Golden Pagoda and White Petal Lake. After the gate was opened, the Mogu actually took the opportunity to invade the Vale, and they laid claim to the stairs and built a camp nearby to prevent the doorway there from being closed. They guard the area with their cloud serpents, guard it with the undead, cannons, and their little statue puppy dogs, their Quillen. The ruins of Golai are the ruins of a Mogu city up in the northwest corner. Within the ruins are the Golai halls, which are mostly intact and contain many secrets. The ruins are infested with spiders and ancient Mogu statues, some of which will come to life and attack you. So the Gaolai halls are beneath the ruins of Gaolai in the northwest corner of the Vale. I remember dying here a lot back in probably the beginning of Warlords of Draenor, which is when I decided I should come back and check out what was going on in Pandaria when I left it. And this is a big underground vault. It's got the Hall of the Statues, the Hall of the Serpent, the Hall of Tiles, and I do remember that the tiles were all trapped. The Golden Lotus are a mysterious society of Pandarian who are the guardians of the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. If you want to become a member of the Golden Lotus, you are handpicked by the August Celestials and then charged with helping keep an eye on the Vale. The Pandaren see it as a huge honor to be chosen as a member of the Golden Lotus. They recently noticed that Mogu are sneaking into the Vale, and they've actually called for help from the Shadowpan and the Horde and Alliance. When the Vale was desecrated by the Heart of Yasharaj, a lot of the Golden Lotus members were killed. The rest of the Order are staying there to repair the Order and keep guarding the Vale. Mistfall Village is in the southwestern part of the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. It's down below the Tushen burial ground. And there's not a lot here. They have a little tavern. You know, it's just a cute little village. But I like it because it seems like such a humble little village out here in such a contested area. It's just a little haven of peace, and I kind of really like that about it. Now, one area that I didn't go into, but we kind of just passed over, is the Big Blossom excavation. Mostly because I get lost in caves quite often, and there is a Big Blossom mine there. And when the goblins were digging it out, they actually destroyed the sacred pool that was located there. By the time of the Fourth War, during Battle for Azeroth, the Vale has actually healed, and I don't know if they changed it in-game. I didn't actually see a Zadormi. In front of the Mogushan Palace is Big Keech. Big Keech is who you need to see with a lot of gold at hand if you want to construct any of the big engineering mounts like the rocket, or if you want to actually make the jeweled mounts, the jeweled panthers. The Mogushan Palace is the big dungeon in the area up between the Horde and Alliance areas, and it is a very ancient place. It is the last true bastion of the Mogu. To the seat of knowledge where Bronzebeard and the lore walkers are kind of hanging out. Bron has become an archaeology trainer, not surprising considering his protege Harrison Ford also is one. It's also where you can go in and speak with lore walker Cho. He gives you your very own shelf to store all of the scrolls that you've been collecting as you run through Pandaria. And when you collect all of the scrolls, you can actually watch a little mini movie that tells everything that you learned from those scrolls. It's a lot of fun to do, and once you've collected all of the scrolls, and I do believe once you become exalted with the lore walkers, you get the little flying Nimbus mount. It's always really nice. It's just the little disc mount, and it's one of my favorite mounts when I want something that's not really big. I just want something small and easy to play with. So the Shrine of the Seven Stars, which is the Alliance hub, it was actually an ancient Mogu structure. It's just south of the Mogushan Palace in the eastern portion of the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Now, the shrine is composed of 3 levels. The bottom floor has NPCs. They will lead you into daily quest hubs for their factions. So you've got the Tillers, you've got the Anglers, you've got the Golden Lotus, you've got the Shadowpan. They all have representatives down here in the bottom level. The next level up is where you're going to find some of your profession equipment, some of your profession trainers. There is the engineering area where there is a auction house, but it's only an auction house if you are an engineer. And you've got the inn there on the bottom floor. Like so much of the Pandaren stuff, I love the aesthetic in here. The inn is actually really, really nice. It's got some really good furnishings in it, and it just feels alive. I love that about World of Warcraft. Most everywhere you go, everything just kind of feels like you could actually just move in and live there. At least that's the way I think about it. I also really like that there are a bunch of nice little beds in the area, and they look squishy. I have a real weakness for Pandaren beds. I want one in real life. And then when you go upstairs, you can go to the right, and there are quartermasters up there for, I'm thinking it's PvP stuff, which explains why I don't know what it's for, because I never PvP. And you can also go over to the bank. It is maybe not the biggest and most fancy bank in the game, but it's up there. The banks in Dragonflight in Valdrakken might be fancier just for the piles of gold, but the bank here at the Shrine of the Seven Stars, they're really nice. Now also, as you leave the bank and just kind of walk through the hallway, you can see that they have void storage and a transmogrifier. Up until I got my yak mount, I always made sure that I knew where every single transmog place was. Then you can just keep on trucking and go over to the portal room. Unfortunately, the portal room no longer has portals to everywhere like it did back when Pandaria was current, but it does have the portal back to your faction's home city, which is always a good thing. There's also an interesting little thing if you go out from the portal room and visit the upstairs bar. There is a panda who is up here, and for 2 gold, she will play you a song. I don't know if you have to have the add-on listener to be able to hear what she plays, because I never noticed that the music changes when I pay her the gold. So I kind of feel like I'm getting ripped off, but she's still kind of cool. Now, the Shrine of the Two Moons is pretty much the same thing. It's set up almost exactly the same as the Alliance side, except it's flipped. So the stuff that you would go to the left for in the Shrine of the Seven Stars, in the Shrine of the Two Moons, you go to the right for it. And that's really, other than the general aesthetic inside of the Shrine of Two Moons, it's pretty much exactly the same. The biggest difference that I found when I was walking through and just trying to compare them both side by side is there is no Pandaren who plays you music in the Shrine of the Two Moons, which I think is a little bit of a shame, honestly. Next week, we are going to do an exploration because it's a zone that I haven't thoroughly explored, so I need to actually do some reading up and maybe a little research. But I think we're going to explore the Pandaran starting zone, because even though you can't go back there once you leave the turtle's back, it's still a really cool area, and I know there's a lot of really cool stuff there. So that's going to be our final Pandaran zone that we're going to be exploring. So I will see you next week for that. Thank you so much, and I will see you later.